The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you. You. It's for you. Can you sing it with me, baby? Can you sing it with me?
Hey, welcome to another episode of Relationshipology with your girl, Lady J, and
It's your boy Keith Omar. We
all
back.
right. Yes, we are. We are back. But before we introduce our guests and get into this topic for tonight, of course, we must get those formalities out of the way. So if this is your first time tuning into Relationshipology or the JQLM radio, and you would like to share with your family, friends, and followers and all the different ways that they can tune in, this is what you would share. If you'd like to share with your family, friends, and followers on all the different ways that they can tune in to JQLM Radio, this is what you would share. You can tune in live by downloading the JQLM Radio app on your Apple or Android devices. You can also listen live via Alexa, the TuneIn app, the Simple Radio app, and a host of other platforms of which you can find on our website, where you can also listen live at egoentertainmentnet.com/JQLM-radio. Or just visit egoentertainmentnet.com and click the button right there on the home page. You can also connect with us via our website or social media at JQLM Radio. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Additionally, you can email us at jqlmradio@gmail.com. Find us under our parent company, Ego Entertainment Network, on social media at EGOENTNET. That's Ego Ent Net. You can also follow us on LinkedIn at Ego Entertainment Network. And last but not least, make sure you like, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel, Ego TV Network.
Lady J, I can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Got you now.
All right. So this is now that you know how to tune in, if this is your first time tuning in, let's introduce our topic before we introduce our guest. So our guest tonight is none other than Miss Jasheena Shelton, and our topic is marriage is more than I do. So let me bring her in before we delve into this into what that actually means. All right, so let's welcome Jasheena Shelton to the show. She is a life coach. She is a grief coach, counselor as well. She's a speaker, author, and a bunch of other things. I'll let her tell you everything that she
More
does.
importantly,
Hey,
she's a
Jasheena,
woman, right?
welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's give her a main credential for the show. Her main credential is she's been a wife for 20 plus years.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's
Yes,
the main
yes,
credential for
yes.
this show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, so this is going to be good because a lot of people say that marriage is nothing but a piece of paper.
Oh.
And I beg to differ. I think that there are two different types of unions. There is marriage, and then you have civil union. So the civil union is nothing but a piece of paper, but marriage is a covenant.
Oh.
So y'all chime into that. What does that mean to you? Marriage is more than I do.
So, after being married 21 years, I'm inclined to agree with you. It is more than I do. And for us, we took the covenant route. So, we had the premarital counseling, and they set us down, and they tried to explain some stuff. Then we had some elders who were married who explained some stuff, but don't nothing prepare you for it till you get in it. But we definitely see it as a covenant route.
I know that's right.
Oh,
I know that's right. I've been married before, so believe you me, I know. But 21 years. So, well, before we get into how long you married, and we get into giving tips to people on how to, stay married and what you should look for before you get married and things of that sort. Marriage being more than I do. Why do you think that so many people nowadays see marriage as either a plaything or don't take it as seriously?
I don't know. People just, it seems to me that a lot of people want to redefine stuff, and they want quick fixes. And sometimes, well, for us, neither one of us had our ish together. We got married in our 20s. So we still trying to figure stuff out, and we just chose to figure it out together. And even in premarital counseling, a part of our vows that we took very seriously said to death do us part. So I mean, that's my legal alibi in case things go south. Like, he said he wanted to die. Yeah, so that's what I got.
Okay.
I know that's
All right. All right.
Hey, Doris, thank you for tuning in. Hello to you. Hello to everyone else that's tuning in to JQL and Radio, to Relationshipology. Those of you who are tuning in Radio Land and JQL and Radio, thanks for tuning in. So I think that, I'm going to let Keith chime in on her too, but I think that a lot of people take marriage lightly or don't take it as serious anymore because society has programmed a lot of us to think that we are entitled to certain things without having to actually do any work or actually having to meet any expectation standards ourselves. So you have a lot of women. As a woman, I can speak of that because I've been a woman my entire life and I've been around women a lot. Women, I think nowadays have this notion that they are the prize, if you will. Now they are the favor according to God's word. However, there is an entire chapter, all right, in Proverbs that lays out what is required of you. And what I see out here, they don't meet 20% of what is required.
Right.
If we're talking about marriage, tonight's topic is marriage is more than I do, not civil union. But a lot of y'all ain't meeting at least 20% of what's on that list. So society really has them thinking that if you look good, if you got a nice smile, you got a nice body.
Lady J, you kind of sound like the Transformers.
You
right
know,
now.
with your bodily fluid to be proud. Can't do none of that. That's just what say you, Keith?
I believe a big reason why people don't take marriage seriously anymore is because they don't see it. Like let's talk about it. We are living in an age where we don't have marriage no more. We don't even have dual parents that parent anymore. You know what I'm saying? Let alone marriage. We've seen a serious decline of marriage. I don't think people are as committed anymore because they don't look at commitment. Like they don't even have the idea of what commitment is anymore. They think commitment is let's do this until it don't serve me no more. That's the level of commitment. People aren't committed to. They're not committed to the marriage. They're committed to themselves.
Right. That's
And
good.
as long as the marriage is serving them, they about it. But once the marriage ain't serving them no more, they quick to jump out of it. And that's why relationships don't even get the marriage no more because you're so quick to be like, oh, I'll just find somebody else. Because everybody feel like they have all these options. But that's what they are. They're options. They're not choices. You know what I'm saying? Because if they were choices, you wouldn't have been on the market for so long. you'd have had a choice already lined up, not just an option. So
Right.
people don't understand what commitment truly is anymore. They don't get to see pillars of, like, let's call it for what it is. The new grannies are like 40.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You Nana and Gma are 40.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
half of the 40-year-olds ain't married nor even marriage material, men and women.
That part.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't show you a level of commitment. Like, I remember, I mean, I feel like everybody will tell me I started late. I had my son a month before I was 31. That ain't late to me.
No.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? That's
It's
about,
actually
that's
responsible, especially if you wait until you were mature enough to have children and you were ready to be a father. That is responsible. Now, I will say for myself, my first marriage, I got married at 19. Okay. My grandmother got married at 19, but she was married for 55 plus years. However, she went through some things in that marriage. My mother, she got married at 19, and her and my daddy was crazy as hell. But but that ended when I was like 5. But and I was with my first husband we were together for a total of 6 years, I believe 6.5 years, if we can count the dating and everything else. But that was a very abusive marriage in every shape, form, or fashion of the word. But I was also a broken teenager looking for somebody to save me, because I grew up and experienced a lot of trauma, a whole lot of trauma, abuse, and a whole bunch of things, just one thing on top of the other. And so I can honestly admit that I was not ready for marriage, and I was kind of forced into having children because my medical condition, didn't allow me to, I would say, have the option to wait, if you will. So I was diagnosed with a very severe case of endometriosis, and they wanted to give me hysterectomy at 15. So by the time the treatment started working, I was already 19. I was already engaged. They was like, look, either you start trying to have kids now or you won't be able to have them. And
Wow.
so I think that when we get into looking for a mate that we want to marry, there are certain things that we need to look at. So for instance, like that in itself, my fiance at the time told me, look, if you can't have kids, then I don't want to marry you. That should have been a red flag for me. Okay. But it wasn't. and I decided, okay. And I did want to be a mother, but I knew at that time I wasn't really ready to be a mom. But unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, the circumstances just pushed me into that. But I love being a mother. I love my children. I wouldn't change nothing for the world.
Okay.
But and when it comes to choosing a mate, I think that a lot of us now are so caught up in what society says you should look for, or what a man should be concerning us women, you know. And I think it keeps a lot of us single, because a lot of women walking around talking about they're single because they choose to be. That's a lie. A lot of y'all are single because nobody sees you
I'm so
as
glad you
wife
said it.
material. You have women who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s who have never been proposed to. Some of them have never been in a long-term relationship. And when I say long-term relationship, I'm talking about a relationship that's either 3 years or more. That's a problem. No man has ever considered you to be wife material. None, ma'am.
Ma'am.
I think you need to do some self-reflection. What y'all think?
Hey, you said it, not me. You said it. I'm just gonna piggyback on what you said. Remember, you said it.
She
I
said
don't
it.
want people trying to come at me talking about something. Here he go. Because you know how they like to come at you. You know what I'm saying? But remember, you said it. I'm just
Hey Shay,
piggybacking
how
off
are you?
what you said. Y'all know my motto now.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get to that later on. I'm sure there's gonna be something that's gonna stir up the pot that's gonna make me say it. So I'm sure before the show over with.
Hold on, include this into your response, Keith. Shay says yes, people are in relationships for the media present, not in real life.
That's her.
And
Yeah.
Dora says she tried, but the lies and cheating was too long with 3 children. So that's true. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah. So this is the thing. I think we all too often like to be in this microwave stage of a relationship, and you get caught up with the honeymoon phase, and everything's going well, is right. You know, the representatives are representing. That's what I like to call it. It's the representatives. They just representing, boy. You get to see them representatives show up and show out. You know what I'm saying? So you get caught up in that, and you know it's almost like getting love bombed. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You get caught up in it. You like, this is wonderful. Everything's like roses and rainbows, all these bright colors. I get this feeling every time I get the text message or call. Woo, it's great. It ain't all that great. See, I just said this to somebody in the last 48 hours. I said, if you want to know how somebody rock with you, see how they treat you when they ain't happy with you.
Mm.
Mhm.
If you really want to know how somebody rock with you, see how they treat you
Mhm.
when they ain't happy with you. That's all you got to
Right.
do. Because
Mhm.
if they show you grace, they still do everything they're supposed to do, even though that you feel okay, they ain't all that thrilled with me right now, but they still doing what they've been
Mhm.
doing for you.
Mm-hmm.
They rock with you. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? I don't want to get a microwave stage. I don't like. I avoid the whole honeymoon thing now. Everything all great and da 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 da. Nuh-uh.
Mhm.
It ain't great till I see this going on for 6, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months.
Yep.
I want you to get
Right.
mad at me so I can see how I act. Let me see how that work
Right.
out. When you
Right.
get
Right.
mad at
Right.
me, how you
Right.
going?
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
The honeymoon phase is what it is. I'm old enough to understand
Mhm.
that it's the honeymoon phase. Let me just disagree with you on something you passionate about, and let's see how that goes. You
Mhm.
know, so
And
I'm
they
just
say that you should go through all 4 seasons with a person
Yep.
yeah,
before you
absolutely.
even decide that you're going to be in a committed relationship, like a long-term committed relationship, or even consider marriage. That you should go through all 4 seasons with a person. You should see them sad, happy,
I think
angry,
people should. I think people should
all of
date.
that.
I think people should exclusively date for a minimum of 4 months.
Absolutely.
4 months.
Mm.
If you
Mm.
can't get through a third of the
So,
year with me, what we doing?
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? What we doing? You can't get through 4 months
right.
with me. What we
Right. Journalist Shay, she also says that, or there are unhealed people out there adding on to people's emotional trauma. She says many
mm-hmm.
times people just settle due to them being afraid of being alone. That is true. So they put up with whatever their partner has to offer just to say they have somebody, and it's sad. That is absolutely true, and that is why it is so important for men and women, I think, to go learn how to be by yourself. Be by yourself, because if you can't enjoy your own company, you can't expect somebody else to enjoy your company
Right.
for a
Yep.
long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we need to quit lying to ourselves and saying, oh, I'm okay. I ain't nothing wrong with me. And we have the unmitigated gall and audacity to point out flaws in everybody else and the people that we're with, but we won't look at ourselves. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that when you enter into dating and you have the mindset that, oh, I can just leave anytime if they get on my nerves or if they're not doing this and that, you don't need to be married anyway, because marriage is a covenant. It's a lifelong covenant. So you should be entering into it with the mindset that when we get married, there is no no
We
getting
ain't
out
got
of
no
this.
backup
You know
plan.
what I'm saying? We respect each other. We don't abuse each other. And you know what I'm saying? And we are faithful to each other. Everything else we can handle. What I'm saying? We can handle. So, Jasheena, real quick before we take our first break, can you tell us, as somebody who's been married for 21 years, can you tell us what was the mindset you had, you or your husband or both of y'all had entering into your marriage?
So yeah, we did take our vows and covenant very serious, and the only it's kind of like a gang. The only way in is you're gonna get jumped out, and so you get mad. The couch right there. No, there's your side of the bed. There's my side of the bed. I don't care if you're mad. We gonna figure it out. And one of the things that my father-in-law told us, he was like, "Don't let the sun go down on your anger, and don't let
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
don't let
yeah.
other your marriage. Y'all got an issue. Y'all work that out. Y'all talk that out. Y'all just stay mad for a day, and then y'all work it out. It's between y'all because he has a large family, and I couldn't imagine him getting his family involved compared to getting my family involved. It wouldn't have been a fair fight. But a lot of our stuff we stayed in house, and then we had to call pastor late at night. Look, we can't resolve this. This ain't working. I'll pour some wisdom real quick on this before it turns into a force. And so we were very fortunate to have people around us who would be like, girl, you wrong, and this is why you wrong, or sir, this is what this is not what we do. Yeah, so we had people who pulled our curtails early, and we are very thankful for.
And that's good, because a lot of people don't get that early, especially in their 20s. Y'all got married in your 20s. Most 20-year-olds ain't trying to go to no marriage counseling or premarital counseling and all that kind of stuff. Before we're going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we got a few more comments we're going to read. So Shay, Doris, y'all just hold tight. And then we're going to talk about what role does premarital counseling and marriage counseling play? Should it only be when you have issues? So y'all listen, don't go anywhere. Stick and stay. You are tuned into Relationshipology with your girl, Lady J, and Keith Omar. And we have a guest tonight. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after these messages. Okay? Yep. All right. Hey there, trendsetters and go-getters. Ever dreamt of gracing the cover of the hottest bi-monthly print and digital interactive magazine? Well, Ego Magazine is your ticket to the spotlight. From beauty and fashion to entertainment, relationships, business, and beyond, Ego covers it all. And guess what? We're looking for the next big stars to feature. Want to shine on the cover, share your celebrity story, or drop some business wisdom? Apply now at egoentertainmentnet.com to be featured. Thousands across the nation could be reading about you. Subscribe for free now at egoentertainmentnet.com. Ego Magazine, where dreams become headlines. We can't wait to put you in the spotlight. Music, Minutes by Jacob Sapp on Pixabay.com. What if you had the ability to encourage yourself just by putting on a piece of clothing? It's possible when you shop GDFAM. God Didn't Forget About Me apparel. Shop dresses, t-shirts, sets, jumpsuits, sweatsuits, and more for men and women. When you look good, you feel good. And when you can remind yourself that you have not been forgotten, you feel great. Shop GDFAM now at GodDidn'tForgetAboutMe.com. Music. Powerful Advertising Trap by Anton Vlasov on Pixabay.com. Are you in need of a fresh perspective on relationships, wholeness, love, and transformation? Or are feeling consumed with hurts from the past and finding it difficult to overcome traumatic events? Well, contact licensed marriage and family therapist Sharon Mason of Love That Relationship. She can get you back on the road to building a healthy and loving relationship with yourself and others. Love That Relationship.
Lady J, I can't hear you.
All right, y'all. Sorry, it seems like there's a delay in our studio. It has been raining here in Indy, so you have to bear with us because technology is doing its thing. Okay. But anyway, you all have been tuned in to Relationshipology here on JQLM Radio with your girl, Lady J, and
your boy Keith Omar.
All right. And our special guest tonight is Miss Jasheena Shelton. Our topic tonight is Marriage is More Than I Do, and she has been married for 21 years. She is a life coach as well as a grief counselor and a bunch of other stuff. If you want to know what that is, you got to go back and listen again. All right, we're not going to go through all that again. But so we have some comments before the break. For those of you who would like to be a part of the show, you want to call in or text, you can do so at 317-886-0296. So before the break, journalist Shay, she made a comment. Doris first. Doris Harrison, she says she thinks that it should take at least a year to really get to know a person. Shay says most people want to be shown what's being brought to the table beforehand. A lot of people are accepting the bare minimum. So that's another thing with dating. You have to come correct or you will be treated differently. And then she also says that nobody is making it to the marriage stage because people can't properly date. Nobody dates to marry anymore, unfortunately. Absolutely. And thank you so much, Doris, for the compliment on the advertisements. We do appreciate you. So I have to agree with what both of them said. I think that you should date for at least a year. And it has been my understanding, this came directly from men, that men know whether or not you are wife material for him within 90 days. Now, he might not act on it or move on it. He knows whether or not you are wife material within 90 days. So myself, my very first marriage, we were dating for about a year and a half before he proposed, but he was already telling people like 2 weeks after he met me that I was going to be his wife. Okay. Meanwhile, I was in a relationship for 4.5 years and he was dragging his feet. Now, I had already knew in the back of my head that it wasn't going to go anywhere, right? I just wanted to see if the person was actually going to tell me. And they never did until I asked again and brought it up. And they were like real nonchalant about it. It was kind of pissing me off because you wasted my time on purpose, which is exactly what I felt. But anyway, I think that a year to a year and a half, if that man has not proposed to you, it's time for you to go. Because like even now, all of us on here are in our 40s. I don't have time to waste. You're not gonna waste my time, and I'm not gonna waste yours. And that's just it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that a lot of women want the ring and they don't consider the marriage. What does a marriage consist of? You know, they are fall in love with the ring, they fall in love with the wedding, they fall in love with the reception, but they don't ever consider what it means to actually be a wife, to be a partner, to be in marriage with somebody, in a marriage with somebody. So Jasheena, what can you offer or share about marriage? Excuse me.
Yeah.
That is not, the norms. I'll say what everybody envisions, if you will, because they say they know it's not going to be peaches and cream, but the minute that things are not peaches and cream, people get to running.
So our peaches and cream soured within the first 3 months. I don't know about anyone else, right? And so to piggyback off of what you said, that men know, I wholeheartedly believe that, because within the first year and a half of my husband knowing me, my now husband know me, he was like, we're going to get married. That's my wife. And I was like, no, sir, I've got other things that I need to accomplish before I think about being anybody's wife. And then so we went on our own, individual journeys, and then life brought us back together. We dated for a year or so after that, and he was still like, are you ready yet? And I was like, I guess I am. Let's see what this looks like. So it was a short engagement, and we got married in March, and it's been a roller coaster ever since, and still is. And sometimes people say, you need the whole package. But if you know it's going to be a journey and an adventure, he's not the man I married 20 years ago. I'm not the woman he married 20 years ago. But for every up and down and hill and valley and cave and all that, we're committed to being on this journey, whatever that looks like. And it's been a rough journey. Like we face obstacles, and sometimes people will look and be like, oh my gosh, I want what you got. No, you don't. No, you don't. You want your own journey, whatever that looks like. You don't want this.
Right.
You're not built for this. Like, no, if you're not built for this, you built for your journey, but you're not built for this. Because there are times I don't think I'm built for this. I'm like, Lord, how long? Okay.
Right. So when you and your husband, let's just say, when you and your husband started to see changes in each other, or I should say, did you not notice changes in each other, and then until an issue arose and then you had to address it? Because I've heard people say, and this is something that I did in my own marriages too, is that you have to pay attention to your mate and study that person, because what's important to you at 20 is not going to be important to you at 30. It's not going to be important to you at 40. What you liked and how you liked it is going to be different from 20 to 40. And so, and then the things that made you sad or triggered you or whatever may change. So was that something that you all did consistently, or was it something that you didn't recognize until you had issues arise?
So within our first couple of months of marriage, he was in back-to-back car accidents. And so then he went from being the provider and the cover and all of that to being the patient. And so then I had to step up my game outside the house, which kind of put him in the house. And so 20 some years ago, that was resentful for him to be a stay-at-home dad. Like, he caught flack from his family, but he's healing, and I didn't mind it. Right. And so this is our partnership. This is what is working for us right now, for me to be out there and for you to be at home to make sure the kids is good and this is good and that is good. And so we didn't have the typical, whatever it was 20 years ago. And now fast forward 20 years, now he's the primary and I'm the secondary. And so what does that look like? That's an adjustment too, because I used like, sir, I'm wearing the pants. Oh, I'm not wearing the pants. Okay. Well, let me go find the skirt. Let me just get a moo-moo. That's what the women wear. Let me get a moo-moo and sit down.
Right.
And that's an adjustment, because that's a pride thing and that's an ego thing. And you got to put all that aside because, oh wait, it's still my partner. We on the same team. What I look like tearing you down, and we on the same team. We're not gonna make it to the championships. So,
so I want to ask you this, and maybe Keith can chime in too after this. So as we transition into, should everybody enter into premarital counseling, and when is marriage counseling necessary? So when those dynamics were true for you too. So when you were the breadwinner, because I've been in that position before, even before marriage, we weren't even engaged. And even when I was married, I've been a caretaker. So did you have to endure your husband complaining and being upset with you because he couldn't do or he couldn't provide and things of that sort? Was that something that you went through? And if so, how did you all work through that?
So one of the things is I brought up ego, right? Because he is from a long lineage of men who, like, we're manly men. This is what men do. Men don't stay at home and be Mr. Mom. And so every time he's around his family, he is catching it, right? My family, not so much, because they didn't see it. But his family, he has brothers, and all his brothers like, what are you doing? Get it together. But physically, he couldn't do that. And so I have to support him at home. And then I have to remind him, like in public, like we had to come up with like code words, like, all right, you go, I'm ready to go. All right, code blue, let's go. And we had to make up little things like to leave events before things got heated, because there's something you just can't take back. Right. And like, why your wife always gonna go? Fine, let me be the scapegoat. So I can have peace at home. Because at the end of the day, this is our home, and we still have to have peace. Regardless of what the world says, society says, this is working for us. Look, your kids look good. Your kids look good. Are your kids healthy? Our kids. And we still had to have those check-ins. Like, hey, you good? Now, that didn't bother me. And for him to get to a place where he was comfortable enough and to be vulnerable around me. And no, I'm not going to use that against him like some others in his past. That was obstacle. And so that took a lot to work on. But we got there. And now that roles are reversed again, because life will and bounce some things. Okay. That's the budget. Okay. So I can't. Okay. Ooh, that's the budget. Okay. Great. Yeah. But he's been very gracious with the budget.
Right.
So.
So Keith, as a man, and you've been in a long-term relationship for, I don't know that you said you have been married before too, right? You've been married before. No, you have never. So that was a long-term relationship. But okay, so as a man though, when you are in a position where your woman has to step in and do for you. If you are hurt at work, or it's extremely ill, you got cancer or anything, and your woman has to step in, how do you think it's fair to the woman that this man says he loves and knows that she is a helpmeet, for him to berate her or complain and things of that sort to make her feel bad because she has to step into that role. How do you think men should navigate that, or what do you think about that?
All right, so I three things. Number one, it's a blessing for a woman to want to take care of a man in that way because we don't ever see those opportunities, or better yet, we don't see those celebrated enough. How about that? We don't see how. Let's call it for what it is. How often do we hear women talk about, "Well, I'm gonna take care of my man
Mhm.
if he down for his." All too often, we hear women talk about
Mhm.
some. Well, it's time to go get a new one, as if we're
Mhm.
disposable. Like I always tell people all the time, women hate for me to say it, but it's the truth. Most women look at men as if we are just tools. We are to take out the toolbox to fix something. We're to take out the toolbox when
Mhm.
it looks good. You know what I'm saying? When you want to feel good, something like that.
Mhm.
But when it's time for that tool to get fixed, no, I don't want to fix it. I'll just replace it. We disposable. That's how
Right.
women. That's how a lot of women are treating men nowadays. We are disposable.
Mhm.
So I commend the ones that don't. I commend the ones that don't. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I commend the ones that see the value in us, and that's the reason why they got us around in the first place. Is because they see the value
Mhm.
of who it is that we are, not what it is that we can bring. Um, all right, so that's number
Right.
one. Number two, no, it's not cool for a man to hound this woman and she's now put in the position that you was once seeing because she ain't doing it your way. Just like I tell women, and listen, if you ask a man to do something and he asks you when it needs to be done and you give him that deadline date, don't speak to him about when is it gonna get done until the deadline date is over with. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You give it a task, let him perform the task in a timely fashion at the time that it says it's supposed to be done.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Men do the same thing. If that woman, you gave her a task and you need that task to be done at a certain time, don't ask her nothing else about it until the day of the task, until the moment of the task. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? If it ain't being done, then
Mhm.
yeah, she dropped the ball and she gotta have to own it and eat it. But until then,
Right.
she got time to do it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you just sit on your hands,
Right. Right.
close your and wait for it to happen.
I
The
think
third
that
thing.
though in today's society, though, in order for a man to reach a point where he feels like this woman is wife material, I think that some men are also not honest with themselves about them not being emotionally and mentally ready to have a actual help me. Because I've been in situations where I have given of myself too much. And I'm one of those people that with everything that I do, I don't have to do anything, right? So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it 100% or not at all. I don't know how to give just some of me, you know. So if you need help with a business, I'm on it. If you need help with shoot some chores, I'm on it. If you need help with your health, if you need help getting a car, if you need help, I'm on. That's the type of individual I am, period, across the board. It don't matter if it's a friend, a stranger, I'm a servant by nature. I love helping people. And so I think that for those women who are like me, I think we give so much, or I should say, maybe we give too much in the beginning, and maybe it can be overwhelming for a man who has dealt with nothing but women who have done nothing but be entitled and take advantage of and mistreat. And so then they would rather be with a woman who does not bring certain things out of them or bring certain things to the surface for them to see themselves in a light that they didn't see before, because it requires them to then step up to the plate and meet a higher standard than what they are used to. And so they would rather go and be with another woman who is maybe a 40 instead of the 80. I think that, and that's just been my experience. And it's been confirmed even by my ex-husbands. They were like, she didn't deserve that. She did blah, 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 blah. And so it's like, I know the type of woman that I am, but I think I'm such and people, other women who I know are like that too. We are such dinosaurs, if you will, that it's so rare that I think when we encounter people like, yeah, nah, this is not real. Like, so
I'm
what do you
explaining
think
that reason
about
why.
that?
I'm explaining the reason why with that. What happens with that is honestly, like us. I'm gonna say this, and a lot of it's not popular with amongst the women, but if women really sit down, like I said, forget your feelings and worry, and let's focus on the facts. The fact of the matter is, a lot of women. I'm not gonna sit here and say most. I'm gonna sit here and say all or a few. No, a lot of women are so used to receiving that they don't understand how to give. And so men, since we know this and we understand this, so many men are so used to, are used to not receiving anything or not having any expectations of anything. So when we get it, it's almost overwhelming that you have someone that is willing to give on a level that you have always given on. And so it's overwhelming to us. Like I am someone who's appreciative because I understand ain't nobody gotta give nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to give you nothing. You ain't you didn't you not promised anything on earth but to live and die. And how you live and die is kind of up to you. You know what I'm saying? But so whatever you get from somebody else, it's always a blessing. It's always through grace. And if it ain't through grace, you shouldn't be accepting it because trust me and believe there's going to be a price to pay that you ain't willing to pay when it comes down to it. You know, whether it be your integrity, whether it be your your dignity or whatever, you ain't gonna be willing to pay it. So if it ain't given out of grace, then don't take it. Don't take it.
Right.
So
go ahead.
No. So I was gonna say. So I think a lot has to do with, and I'm changing this about myself now at 50. I'm starting to change this about myself. I was never taught what my value is. I was always taught that I had value. I knew that, but I never was taught what my value was. My mother did an excellent job at raising me to be a gentleman. My father did an excellent job at just on sheer display of what a man should be. You know what I'm saying? But my father never took me by the side and said, "Hey boy, listen, when this situation arises, you need to handle it like this. The reason why you need to handle it like this," and give me a breakdown. You know what I'm saying? And I've learned that I've even failed myself at that as a father too. You know what I'm saying? I've noticed that. I've even failed myself as a father doing that. So what I try my best not to do is I don't sugarcoat it with him now. I don't sugarcoat it with my son now. And I don't sugarcoat it with anybody else I mentor. So any young men that come across my path, I'm going to give it to them rough and raw, but I'm going to give it to them where they can accept it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, F your feelings.
Right.
It's about the fact of the matter. You know. So we'll get on your feelings after we address the fact. And I think it's more acceptable that way. If you can break down this is why it happens. So let's forget your feelings for right now. Let's deal with the fact. Now, since we dealt with the fact, this is why you feel this way. Right. There we go. So once we deal with the fact, then your feelings will be dealt with too.
So I agree with that, and I think that so we're down to like the last, let's say, 17 minutes of the show. So before we take a break real quick, let's talk about the next 3 minutes, and then we can wrap up when we come back and give marriage tips. But I think that anybody who is considering marriage should first and foremost enter into some form of therapy, right? Personally, one-on-one therapy to address any issues or trauma that you may have, even if you think that you don't have anything, because you'd be surprised at how life circumstances can trigger something that you thought that you was over, or that you thought that you got healed from, and you really didn't. And then I think that everybody who's considering marriage should enter into premarital counseling. I did with both of my marriages. And also, marriage counseling should be like a refresher. You shouldn't only go to marriage counseling when there's an issue. I say at least once a year, just to group. They have some marriage counseling that is like group counseling, and for me that was really fun when I attended marriage counseling. Like there was communication exercises to learn how to communicate like effectively. There was trust exercises that we had to do at, one-on-one, but all the couples had to do it. I remember being in marriage counseling one time and they had the cell phone exercise. We had to switch phones for 24 hours. Now, all of the people who had an issue, and this is what I feel about the phones, even in today's age. If you have to go through somebody's phone,
it's a problem.
Consistently or on a consistent basis or whatever, then you shouldn't be with them because you can't trust them and you already know, right? Now, if you're verifying something, if you already see signs and stuff, if you just need proof, for me, I did that, let's say in my first marriage, but that was after I found a letter in your wallet from somebody else. Okay, so now I want to see what has the conversation been like. I'm getting ready to get proof, because when I come to you, when I ask you and you lie to my face, then we're gonna have a problem. So that's the only time that I'm gonna go through a phone. I've been in a relationship, my long-term relationship that I was in, and I'm using the phone and I see a text message pop up. I haven't opened or touched nothing. It just bam is there. And didn't I just ask you about this person last month? And you told me so-and-so, so you lying. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So I think that anybody who has an issue with like exercises like that, which is really just a trust issue, that's a red flag automatic. Now, I didn't have a problem with changing phones, but my husband did. You know what I'm saying? My husband had a problem because he was doing something he had no business doing. Because if you're going to get bent out of shape about somebody having a device, if you have nothing to hide, then what's the problem? Like right. For me, that's just what I think. So what are y'all thoughts on the marriage counseling and the premarital counseling?
I think marriage counseling and premarital counseling saved us. Because we went in and saying, "Oh, divorce is not an option. Divorce is not an option." But so many times that option is like, "Wait, you know what? I can leave," and then you have to go back to your counselor, or your advisor, and get grounded again. Be like, "You right. Let me look at the facts, but deal with my feelings later." The fact is, I got some to do too. Yeah, so I think it should be a prerequisite. Like like if I wanted a handgun growing up, I don't know what it is now, but we wanted a handgun. We had to go to hunting training classes because I'm from the country, so everybody had to go to before you operate a vehicle, you gotta take driver's ed. But before you get married, you just gotta sign a piece of paper. What kind of foolishness?
Right.
What we doing?
Listen to me. I am with you all the way on that. I look at it like this. I've always said this. I ain't never been a dude that's gonna go through no phone, this and that and the third. Cause I say it all the time. I'm one of God's favorites. So whatever darkness is going on, it's gonna come to the light.
It's gonna come to the light.
It's gonna come to the light.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It is gonna come to the light. Yep. So I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm one of God's favorites. I tell you all the time. I'm one of His favorites now. Don't play with me.
Okay.
Play with somebody else maybe, but don't play with me. Yep. You're gonna make sure I'm right. I ain't make it this far, just because. Now, I tell folks all the time, I ain't the most righteous person in the world. I try. Lord, but I'm still human. Right. I've done my due diligence of some BS. You know what I'm saying? I've owned it though. Anytime I've done something, I've owned it. So I'm 100% behind that. I'm just not one of those dudes. I'm not that curious. It's gonna come to me. I think my reputation has served me well enough for somebody to be like, nah, I can't let him get played like that. Let me tell him. Let somebody. I have a few people telling me what's going on. I know too many people in the city to just let it be swept under a rug. So. But
things always come to the light. Everything that's done in the dark always comes to the light. And that's been my experience as well. We're gonna take just a short break real quick. Y'all don't go anywhere. Stick and stay. When we come back, we're gonna give our final tips about marriage and what it is and how to maintain it. All right. So stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. You are tuned into Relationshipology right here on JQLM Radio with your girl, Lady J, and Keith Omar, and our special guest tonight, Miss Jasheena Shelton. Are you ready for the ultimate radio experience? Tune in to JQLM Radio now. From gospel vibes to Christian rap, hip hop, pop, R&B, and smooth jams. We've got it all covered. Get hooked on real voices, raw entertainment, and super relevant topics that'll keep you glued. Don't bother touching that dial. We've got the perfect soundtrack for every moment. Start your day right and groove into the night with JQLM Radio. Download the JQLM Radio app, listen on Alexa, TuneIn app, Simple Radio app, or visit egoentertainmentnet.com/JQLM-radio. Your irresistible music journey starts here. JQLM Radio. Real, raw, relevant, and dope. Music. Track by Dmitry Kolesnikov on Pixabay.com.
Welcome to the Gallery Event Center. My name is Richard, and we're located on the north side of Indianapolis in the Castleton area. We can be reached at 317-534-6399, or you can visit us at our website at www.thegalleryeventcenter.com. Also on Instagram at The Gallery Event Center. We specialize in birthdays, baby showers, weddings, and even family get-togethers. So come see us and book your event today.
Lady J, we can't hear you.
Tonight's technology is doing some weird stuff, y'all. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know what is going on here, but hey, that's the cost we pay when there's storms and stuff is going on. So, but anyway, you have been tuned in. If you're just tuning in, and if you already have been tuned in, and this is Relationshipology right here on JQLM Radio with your girl, Lady J, and
your boy Keith Omar.
All right. And our special guest tonight is Miss Jasheena Shelton. We've been talking about marriage is more than I do. We've talked about, counseling. Is it important? We've talked about, longevity, things you should look for before marriage and all of those things. So listen. So to wrap up, we have about 8 minutes left in this show. Real quick. What tips, Jasheena, as someone who's been married for 21 years, what tips can you offer to the audience about how to maintain a marriage? I know you said something earlier about not letting the sun go down in your anger. For those who don't know, that is actually in the Word of God, that you should not let the sun go down on your anger. If you cannot solve an issue, my uncle told me that too before I got married the first time. If you cannot solve an issue, you might not be able to solve it within the same day, but you still shouldn't go to bed angry at each other,
Right.
because tomorrow's not promised. There have been people who have gone to sleep next to their husband or wives and woke up to find them dead. They died in their sleep. And so you don't want to do that. People, we always have this notion that'll never happen to me until it happens to you.
Okay.
So real quick, can you give a few tips on how to maintain a marriage?
Sure. So I think one of the main things that sometimes we forget or that gets neglected is the intimacy. And it's not just sex. It is that connection, that vulnerability, that sharing trust, those moments, because if this is the person you're going to ride or die with, and life will take you to the point where you're losing parents, your kids are sick, and all the other ebbs and flows that come with it, you've got to have that person be vulnerable with you. And so you got to set up a place where they can be vulnerable with you. Yeah, work is going to be there, bills are going to be, but this is that person, and we got to have intimate time. We've got to have our own time, and with the different family dynamics that come into play and life throwing stuff at you, there still has to be time that's carved out where it's just you and it's just him or it's just her. and you guys really just
Mhm.
sit there with each other in it, like, oh my gosh, this is heavy. I didn't see this coming. I didn't see it coming either. But here we are. Now what we gonna do?
Mhm.
So you can always have that united front when
Right.
you're in the house. Because it's nothing worse than like something
Mhm.
happening and then y'all divided in public, and then that's all someone else from the outside needs. Oh, look, they divided. Da, da, da. Now I can go and whatever, the enemy's plans are. And so just to keep that out,
Mhm.
keep that intimacy going and growing.
Okay.
Okay.
And Keith, real quick, in about, let's say, a minute, can you share what are some things, and you can share this, I think we talked about this in, I think, our last show or maybe the show before that. Maybe share with the women instead of talking to the fellas this time. What are some things that are kind of universal across the board for men that most men will look for in a wife? Like, what requirements should women be able to meet in order to be even considered to be a wife?
Be the opposite of him. You don't need to be hard. Be soft. Ladies, embrace your femininity. That is your biggest tool when it comes to a man. Is your femininity. Being soft, being pleasant. Notice I use the word pleasant. Being pleasant. You know what I'm saying? I understand there's a world out here that we have to be competitive at the workplace, but you should not be competing with your
Mhm.
man.
Okay.
That's
Right.
something that
I agree. Facts.
you shouldn't be coming home trying to rule the universe.
Mhm.
Be pleasant. Also, yeah, I say this all the time. Y'all know how I am about this. There is a such thing called gender roles. You know,
Yes, it is.
if you want your man to be a man and you want him to execute things, you have expectations for him to execute things. Then you also need to play a role in that.
Mm.
You
Mhm.
need to play a role in
Mhm.
setting him up for success at the house. You need to make sure you
Right.
use a word of affirmation. Most men are the one their love language for the most part is words of affirmation.
Yeah.
We need to know
Mhm.
that you believe in us. And notice I say us, not me or him or I or you. Us. Us is the unit. You believe
Mm.
in us
Mhm.
that this covenant has brought together. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? There's
Mhm.
nothing more attractive to a man than knowing that his woman got him 100%. Like I
Yeah.
hear women always say, "Well, a man's supposed to love a woman like God loved the church." Yeah, but guess what? Them disciples was devoted to the Lord too.
Mm.
But let's not forget, it also said that a woman is to honor her husband. So
Absolutely.
let's listen now. Again, stop.
Right.
What I
Stop
don't like
selectively
is
choosing.
y'all please stop
Yeah.
picking and choosing what y'all wanna apply to your own life when it comes to marriage and relationships. Because
That's
if you don't
right.
talk about one part, you got to talk about all of it. And
All
it's
of it.
about men. Stop saying that a woman is supposed to submit. Yes, she is. It says submit one to another. You submit to her
Mhm.
role as your wife. She submits to your role as her husband, and that's just it. And I think that honestly, for women, if you are not if you don't have a mindset to serve your husband,
Come on.
to serve your family, meaning to,
Waste
if
of
you're
time.
not going to, if you want to change the word, if you want to give, or whatever the case may be, sacrifice for, you know listen, if you're not willing to do that, then you're not ready to be a wife. And that's just it. Women talk about, they don't, this is 2024, this ain't the 1950s, and I shouldn't have to stay at home and raise the kids, but you expect him to pay all the bills. So you can't have one part of tradition and you don't want the other tradition.
Right.
Okay, that's
How
not
many
how that
times have
works,
you heard
ma'am.
me?
You were
Right.
going
How
into
many
marriage
times?
with double standards. No, ma'am.
Exactly. How many times you heard me say you don't buy new shoes to put your old laces in?
Uh,
Mm.
huh?
I mean, come
Huh?
on,
And
you can't
and
you
and
can't
not
you
only
can't want an
that,
old school
don't
traditional man and you be a new school woman. That
Oh,
don't work.
There you go. There you go. And stop complaining about having to cook and clean. You was cooking and cleaning and taking care of your kids before this man came along. So what's the difference now? What is the difference now? You was
yeah,
cooking and clean. Who was cooking and cleaning before he came in that door? You.
that.
You was
Mm-hmm.
working a 9 to 5, a full-time job, coming home, helping your kids with homework. For those of you who have kids before marriage, you was cooking and all this other kind of stuff before he came. Ma'am, stop playing. Okay, that's your role. Whether you want to accept it or not, regardless of what society says. And we can even if we just took out the word of God out of it, culturally, if we looked at all of the cultures, the men are the leaders in just about all cultures. Yes. Women are to raise their families, to maintain their families, to support their men. And a lot of them, sew and all that kind of stuff. They bring in money themselves. A lot of them, again, and if you can't multiply and all you want to do is subtract and divide by spending his money and running y'all on the ground, you're not ready to be a wife. Period. And that's just it.
So I'm in a statement with this. I'm gonna say this, ladies and gentlemen. If you got the right one, if they're an asset to you.
Yes.
Now, if they're a liability to you, you ain't got the right one. So, ladies, if you with somebody that, if they didn't have the resources they had, you wouldn't be with them. You with them for the wrong reason. You ain't got the right one. Fellas, if you with somebody that you know good and well, if you were in a better position, you wouldn't be with that person. Then you with the wrong.
That's good. That's a good measurement. That's good. That's real good. I mean, well, so listen, y'all. Marriage is more than I do. So I think this is a good topic. It was a good topic. Thank you so much for all of the tips and and sharing and opening up about your own 21-year marriage, Jasheena. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. And listen, I hope that women and men, y'all got something out of the show tonight. And if you are considering marriage, if you're engaged, if you're dating with a purpose, please pay attention. And fellas, I just want to say, as a woman, as a Black woman, listen, y'all are valuable. Don't let these women out here make y'all think that you have to jump into dating, giving everything under the sun to this woman, sacrificing and all kind of stuff. You don't know this woman. You know what I'm saying? You don't know these women out here. And women, y'all need to stop trying to take advantage of a man and lying and dating with your representatives too. Trying to get misused, not used, because everybody's meant to be used in some shape, form, or fashion with their gifts, talents, or whatever. But stop trying to misuse men to get what you want. That says a lot about the type of person you are, let alone woman. That says a lot about the type of person that you are. And so I think you said earlier, Keith, that you even slack a little bit in teaching your son what his value is. He knows that he's valuable, but men, do better at teaching your sons what their value what their value is. And women doing the same too for your sons. Those of you who are single parents, and women, we have to be very careful about what we say concerning men in front of our sons, or even really are having a certain mindset. My sons have never heard me say all men are dogs, or I don't need a man, or they've never heard me say anything like that. It will never come out of my mouth, because I need my sons to understand that they are just as valuable as my daughters. They are just as much needed as my daughters. So be mindful of that. And so, I mean, do you all have any last thoughts before we close out the show?
Yeah, I do. F your feelings, deal with the facts. F your feelings, deal with the facts.
There it is. Before you say I do, yes.
There you go. If your feelings and deal with the facts before you say I do. Well, look, y'all. You've been tuned into another episode of Relationshipology with your girl, Lady J, and
your boy Keith Omar.
All right, and our special guest, Jasheena Shelton, tonight, right here on JQLM Radio, a division of Ego Entertainment Network. Until next time, we'll see y'all again. Well, we won't see y'all again for the fourth Thursday of this month, because it is Thanksgiving. All right, Thanksgiving week, but we may do a replay of this show if you missed it. All right, on JQLM Radio. Shout out to all of our listeners. If you haven't done so already, download the JQLM Radio app or add it to your favorites on TuneIn or Alexa. All right, and so until next time, we'll see y'all again. And remember, in relationships, you either together you fly or you fall.
The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you. The inspiration for the songs because of you.